Alright, welcome back everyone to episode 3 of the 4X Alchemist full game commentary for the Cravers. We are on turn 25, already took over 2 minor civilizations, and are at war with these Riftborn down here. Okay, so let's get right into it. They have a small fleet of guys that I have damaged and are making run away. Basically, these places are really good for Riftborn, but crap for me, so I'm really just trying to delay their outpost creation and eventually I can kill them. As soon as I get full control of this place, I'm going to evacuate it because it's total crap, and will end up just being a drag on my empire for at least the foreseeable future. I've talked quite a bit in my last 2 episodes about battle cards and range efficiencies, so go ahead and go check those out if you're interested. I am going to do a experimentation with something that I forget your name, but a YouTube commenter posted on my second video. It was a link to a very detailed description about battle cards and battle mechanics. And what it basically reiterated a lot of what I said in my first 2 videos when I discussed battle cards, but also brought up an interesting point that if the enemy does not have a corresponding flotilla, meaning like if you have 2 flotillas, ships in flotilla 1 and 2, and they have ships only in flotilla 2, then your ships in flotilla 1 can only shoot if they have long-range weapons, or weapons that can be used at long range. And I'm not sure that's true. That post was posted a month ago, and I kind of feel like they changed it. So we'll see if I'm able to make. I'm probably just going to make some short-range ships, just with those super powerful short-range lasers, and send them in, get a whole bunch of them, fight like some pirates or something, and see if my flotilla 1 is also able to fire. Even if they only have ships in Flotilla 2, because in the advanced details after the battle you can check the damage that each flotilla does. And I have a feeling they changed that a little bit, and it's more like what I was describing, where your uncontested flotillas just start at your chosen range and then can fire as they please. But we'll see. Excuse me. Let's see, so we don't really have anything that we want to be building here too badly. I think I'm going to get a Miners Union because titanium, I'm going to be using a whole lot of it with those eternal shields, or eternity shields, infinity shield is what they're called, on my wasps. So, yeah, so let's get the Miners Union, get some more titanium each turn, and then start pumping out some wasps. We want to be prepared for this this coming war. Alright, next we want to grab step settling. I probably want to do that before that. Step settling, because we're going to make a pupa and we're going to send it over there. Speaking of making a pupa, 2 things. One, it's a good idea to throw an extra engine on your pupas. So give them a 9 movement speed, so that they can really jet around and get to where you need them to be as quickly as possible. They're still super cheap, 200, no big deal. All right, if you remember last episode, I talked about planet depletion mechanics. So you want to have as many of your guys on undepleted planets as possible. But you also have to balance your happiness ratios. So I have 3 slaves here, so that's minus 30 happiness. So this would get me up to 72. If I move them all over here, I go up to 79 happiness. I don't know how that's working, but okay. Anyways, so you have to balance the benefits between the plus 10% food and 10% influence from being happy, versus the extra FIDs produced by your 3 slaves on an undepleted planet. So we have 153 food and 220 for industry here, and then about 100 and 200 dust and science, respectively. But if we move these guys over, you can see that all of those go up. Yes, we're not happy anymore, but we've gone up about 15 food, 20 industry, 30 dust, and about 60 science. So it's definitely worthwhile to have these guys on undepleted planets being driven by my slavers to produce double fids. Alright, yeah, so it's definitely a good idea to balance your depletion ratio or your depletion speed, because each additional Craver population on an undepleted planet adds 1 depletion point per turn. So you can see that so medium planets have a depletion limit of 150, and with 6 Cravers on it, they're going to be fully depleted in fully depleted in 21 turns, because they get 6 every turn. 6 times 21 is 121. And that's exactly, that will bring us to 150. So if we take away, example, if we take away a Cravers, then we buy us some more time before this becomes depleted, but this guy doesn't get his 2.5 FIDS bonus, because this planet's already depleted. So you really have to balance those two things. I want to pump out as many ships as I possibly can, as quickly as I can, so I'm going to kind of rush my FIDS, taking the penalty in depletion, and then eventually I'm going to want to get this endless research park and endless world before this becomes depleted. Excuse me. So that's how I'm going to balance it, because we really want to get this. Cravers can produce this so quickly with their early game FIDS with this, and especially since I started with this undepleted planet, or this tier 0 planet in my main system, so we can really pump this out quickly. You can see that we can already build it in 9 turns if we had the titanium to do so, and we will once in 6 turns when these wasps are done. So that's the plan. Yep, so we're just going to continue our siege. We're waiting for our termites to arrive so we can chew through these defenses as quickly as possible. In the meanwhile, just picking off his ships that he's creating each turn, which are kind of annoying, but not that big of a deal. Really can't sacrifice 15 industry each turn, so I'm going to do the -10 happiness on my empire. It's not that big of a deal. Definitely not paying you for a truce, because I've killed all of your ships, taken one of your outposts, and am currently sieging your capital. I don't know why he thinks he has the advantage here. It makes no sense to me. Alright, you can see that it went from -18 or -16 per turn to -48 per turn. It's because our termites are amazing. So we actually probably don't need these coming down the pipe anymore, and we're going to want them to be ready to turn around and immediately start our invasion of the pink Cravers. Okay, so we're not ready to do that, so these guys are all just going to hang tight. Excuse me. And let's see, so these are just the kind of injured ships that are running away from my main fleet, but they're not attacking this secondary fleet for whatever reason, so we're just going to let them sit there until I'm done killing their main place. So again, another termite arrives, goes up to -80 because they do 32 each, 30 from the support modules that I put on, and 2 for being just a ship. So these guys will be ready for invasion next turn, and I'll do that with my main fleet. You can see that I have a decent amount of manpower. About 50% of my my normal amount leads to 60 people. We're going to chunk him down to only 8, so we should be able to do it without too much problem. Alright, we're going to, so we have his early game forced labor, but we're gearing him up to be a military general. So let's get some more health, percentage health bonus on the fleet. synergizes very well with our Infinity Shield and all that I've talked about before. Okay, so we're almost ready to take out the Riftborn once and for all and secure this side of the constellation for ourselves. Unfortunately, this side of the constellation is pretty crap. It's really made for the Riftborn in all reality, because it's lots of ice, lots of Arctic, lots of snow, things that aren't really good for me, but really, really good for him. So these guys are down to 8, and we are going to start our invasion. You can see they can only muster 1 troop and then 40 more troops if they want to do a conscription, so we're definitely going to do preemptive bombing. They did a conscription, it looks like. Yep, but they took a whole bunch of damage from my bombing. I took a little bit, but we're whittling them down quickly. So we're going to continue our invasion, move our ships. We have our some more termites here, but let's just get them over here, ready to fight. All right, more locusts. This is kind of scary. I don't know why he's not attacking me. Excuse me, I'm going to blow my nose really quick. Sorry for the noise. Alright, better. Okay. Yeah, so we should be able to take this in, I think, next turn, maybe the turn after. We'll see. Alright, but as you can see, we have huge manpower problems. How are we doing here? We have oh yeah, so this is our nice place that we stole from, or we assimilated from the amoeba. Really nice ocean world. So it's moving nicely along. So let's definitely get it some bonus food to fill up that place, and I think that should be fine, at least for now. So we have our pupa on its way up there. This guy's trucking along. Yep, so I think that's about it. Yeah, so these are all the injured ships that tried to fight me. So they kind of just stacked up. I don't know exactly what I want to do with them. All right. The Riftborn are now dead. They are no more, which is great. Get them out of the way as soon as possible, and take them out. All right. Yep. Decisive victory. So we get their place. It's a snow. It has a savanna and lava and ice. So not wonderful, but we'll make it work. Why do they have no Riftborn? Oh, here they are. Okay, so they do have a couple Riftborn. So Riftborn are some of the best guys to get as Cravers, because you can drive them as slaves, and they produce double FID, so they'll produce 10 dust, 10 science, and 10 industry each. Really, really, really strong. Okay, but they have a whole bunch of other stuff that's not that great. A whole bunch of these other guys, so we're definitely going to want to move these all to the sterile. I guess it doesn't matter. What if I move them over here? Right, so we're definitely going to want to do that. Get the bonus food on sterile. What do these guys do? Happy and fertile. Okay. Yeah, so that's okay. We have lots of planets, so might as well get the Xeno-Industrial Infrastructure. I think I'm going to do that first, actually. Excuse me. Yeah. So we're going to get the Xeno-Industrial Infrastructure, get that last planet to get a total of plus 50 industry. We have lots of strategic resources, so that's going to be strong. Have some luxury resources as well, so that will give us some extra food, and then we can grab that as well. Okay. Yep, so I don't know if the play here is to... Oops. So I don't know if the play here is to pull this guy from here and go up there, because he might just come straight down here. I think that's what I'm going to try anyways. Hopefully this big stack of guys just doesn't leave and go down here immediately. That would be kind of annoying. Alright, so this place, yeah, this is a place I took from them, and they fought me to the last man, conscripted until they were all dead. So this place is pretty crap. I'm going to evacuate it as soon as I can, so it doesn't drag on my empire into the future. We want to be using this guy's probes, which I forgot about for quite a while. We definitely just want to get the maximum amount of scouting done as possible. Okay, and we're going to have him come up here as soon as he can. Right, and so we're making our wasps, they're getting ready, and then we'll have 10 more titanium by next turn, so we'll be able to start our endless research park nice and quickly. Okay. Go away. Alright, fantastic. He did not run away. So I am here now, and I will be fighting his ships. So let's add this locust to our fleet and begin combat. Alright, so these guys are all short range still, so let's do our long range thing. And we'll begin this combat, even though we have no shields. Starting at long range, just hugely beneficial. We can look at the advanced details and see that we are able to deal damage to them before they're able to deal damage to us. Somehow they dealt damage to us. They must have one ship. Yep, so they have one ship. Their Phantom 3s have missiles. So he was able to do a little bit of damage to us, but a vast majority of these ships never even got to shoot because they're 100% short range. And as you can see, we started at long range, then medium, with only having the missiles guys shoot us, and then never really got to phase 3 because they were all dead. So all of those short range guys never got to fire. Unfortunately, this isn't the greatest test of how this range, or the uncontested flotillas work, because these guys are able to fire at both long, medium, and short range. That will be for a later test when I have only short range guys in, or short or medium range guys in one of these uncontested flotillas, and see if they still do damage. But for now, we'll take the victory. Cleared out the last of the Riftborn. They shouldn't be hassling me anymore, and we can move on to face bigger and badder opponents. Alright, our guy reached here, so we're going to start a colony. Let's see, we could probably Platform of Yeast is really great, Antimatter is really great, Dark Glitter is good, but I think we're going to put him here anyways, simply because we want to start getting this Blue Cat mold, because Blue Cat mold is infinitely better than Dark Glitter as a colony, or a modernization resource. Because if you've watched my other videos, I absolutely despise Dark Glitter. It is my least favorite luxury resource in the game, and so I'm going to avoid using it whenever I can. Alright, so these guys are working nicely. So we don't want them to be unhappy, because unhappy drains 30% food. So we will just keep them at content, but still driving as many slaves as possible. So we'll have these guys build some more food to grow as quickly as we can. Again, as I've said a couple times before, these bonus FID per person are the best for Cravers because they get multiplied by either the 2.5 Craver bonus on undepleted planets or the the double multiplier from Driven Slaves. So this +4 food per person is actually going to be +8 for this guy and +10 for each of these. So this is going to make us grow extremely quickly. Okay, so we'll go back down to Zubin. They're starving a little bit, but there's very little we can do about that right now. And we're going to start the Endless Research Park. You can see we can do it in 9 turns, which is pretty damn good. We're going to slip that in right before our ocean is depleted, and that's going to be probably the optimal use of this remaining depletion points. These remaining depletion points is to get that, get that Endless Research Park done. Okay, so we want to maximize the number of guys we have on here, but remain content. You know, we'd prefer to be happy or ecstatic, but definitely want to remain at least content. Okay, I think everything is all set, and we can move on. Oh, this guy reached his destination, so we're going to grab some more curiosities here. I didn't check. Oh, I should have waited. So I talked about in one of my other videos, always prioritizing these signal types or the ruin type curiosities, because they're more likely to give you loot, which is going to help you in your battles. The subterranean and life forms are almost always luxury resource and strategic resources, so you get a small bonus of them, but they don't help you really that much. So I should have done this curiosity first. So he's just going to hang out here for 2 turns. I'm not really in a rush to explore, so he's going to hang out there and get that curiosity as well. Okay, and I think that's it for this turn. Moving along. I was rewatching some of my videos, adding comments and putting in timestamps where I go into specific discussions about more advanced game mechanics, and hopefully you guys found those useful. What I did find from doing those is that these games can kind of draw on fairly long, or each of the turns can draw on fairly long. So I recommend you guys try watching these videos at 1.5 or 2 times speed. I talk slowly enough that you can still understand what I'm saying, usually. And then you kind of get through these 30-minute videos a little bit faster. Not wasting so much time on my dead space where I'm just kind of clicking around trying to figure out what I want to do and what I want to talk about next. So, keep that in mind as you're watching the videos. Hopefully they'll be a little bit more interesting and won't take up quite as much of your time. Alright, so this Savannah is not bad. It has adamantium in it, which gives you a nice +2 industry bonus. Dark Glitter also gives you a science and industry bonus, and Metallic Waters also gives an industry bonus. So this guy is going to be giving us lots of industry, and it's a Savannah, so that's not a terrible planet, but these 2 Arctics next to it are terrible. Metallic Waters, Aurora Waves, and I forget what this one is. Yeah, Kessler Syndrome, the absolute worst anomaly on a planet. So I think I'm just going to leave that uncolonized for a while. Be happy with Zubin. Unfortunately, these 2 places are crap, so I'm just going to leave them be. Alright, remember we are saving up 1,000 dust, which we have significantly overreached. To go to the Infinite Factory, look at that curiosity, and complete the next stage of our quest, and get the perk called Insatiable Maw, which means that we can refuse forced truces for free. Alright, not much to do this turn. Our wonder production is trucking along nicely, and we are generally just waiting. Alright, we found the Horatio somewhere. I didn't see where he is, but cool. Alright, so we want to get that signal first. Hopefully it will be some loot. Great if it was like a weapon system. Alright, nodes revealed. Okay. Kind of useless. Not super excited about that. But we'll head up here, grab some of those unscouted nodes. So where was the Horatio? Oh, there he is. I found him using one of my probes that I sent out. Okay, so he's not too far away. He might be our tertiary target after we take out these Cravers over here. But the problem is that Cravers get very strong very quickly. You can see, but they have such a good spot. A huge forest, 12 people, incredibly strong. I want it really bad. So we're going to be stacking up guys here while maximizing our the usage of our general. So we'll probably go to war in 7 turns when this endless research park is done, because it's going to give my general a huge amount of experience, and then he'll be ready for combat. So right now we're just going to migrate all of our ships over here since we don't have a threat from the Riftborn anymore. That's really the important part in the early game, is whenever possible reduce the number of fronts that you have to fight on. Alright, we finished this guy here. We have a scout ship on its way to look at what those curiosities are. So in the meantime, we're just going to be giving us some more food. Okay. Empire eliminated. I have destroyed the Riftborn successfully and with the intent to wound. Okay. Moving here. Alright, he doesn't have any probes yet, but he will next turn. Let's just check it out for kicks and giggles. Large arid, couple ashes, nothing too exciting. Any signals? Yep, so we got a signal curiosity there, which we'll definitely grab first. And then just standard resource curiosities, most likely. Not guaranteed, but they have a much lower chance of giving loot. Okay. The reason I'm delaying this infinite factory, or searching that infinite factory, is that once you're, hold on, I'm going to talk about this science thing first, and then I'll get back to the infinite factory. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we already got our enhanced projectiles, or kinetics, so that's going to be really nice. I think I'm going to get trading companies first, or next, to try and get our trading companies running. The other option would be to rush some more of these planet colonizations. I know I need to get to ice because my main place has 2 ice planets. So irradiated but mineral rich. So that's not bad. Yeah. So this is going to be depleted fairly quickly, and so I kind of want to get these ice planets to keep my production on my main place decent, but that's 4 turns. I think I can do it. I can sacrifice 4 turns, and getting ice colonization might actually be okay. Then I can grab a couple more of these places. You know, it's not wonderful. I'll probably get this Arctic before I go get the ices. Lots of unhappiness from here, but I might be able to salvage this start. We'll see. We'll see what I can do. Yeah, we'll see. Not super excited about it. It's definitely not an optimal start, but we kind of just, you know, always have to work with what we have. And what we have is starting next to a Riftborn and a Cravers, which is the least, so it's the 2 worst people to start next to as Cravers, because you want to get good places early. More nodes revealed. Lame. Always pick the free technology. Definitely worth 100 science. Yes, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Riftborn and Cravers are the two worst people to start next to, because Riftborn have kind of crappy planets for you. They don't produce very much food, and lots of unhappiness. And then Cravers deplete their planets just like you do. So you want to start next to non-Cravers and non-Riftborn if possible. So unfortunately I started next to both, didn't really have an optimal early target, and I'm going to just have to deal with that now. I might actually, so I don't want these guys to be able to build up too strong, but also their bonuses in the early game that they get from being endless are really magnified in the early game. So I don't know if I want to smash my face into them too early to try and take them out, and I might go instead and fight these Horatio that I found over here. Get a foothold. This planet looks, or this system looks pretty beautiful. It's not really that great, but you know, 5 systems never hurts. This system's pretty good. You know, tier 0, tier 1, tier 2, with with Jade Onyx. That might be the play. That might be the play. Let these guys kind of do their thing. Contain them right here. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave a couple wasps right there, bring my guys back, and do the war across the sea, across this little gap. Basically just taking on the weaker opponent, and then I can build up a little bit more strength to do the war, the eventual war that I'll have to do against the other Cravers. But they're so strong early game, just like me, but then they are also, their strength is also amplified by the endless bonuses. So they're really hard to fight in the early game. So we're going to avoid it if we can. So you can see they have a scavenger coming. I'll just kill him. So the problem is if he decides to attack me, preemptively attack me, which we definitely don't want. Oops, forgot to redirect him. That's okay. Alright, so let's update our wasps a bit. So we got these new guns. So we have guns and missiles. And something that I was thinking about, I think it was yesterday, is doing something like this. Doing one missile and one gun. So this allows us some anti-missile defenses, but also gives us a pretty good long-range damage buff. So then we can kind of sit back, or take the preference of sitting back and shooting our enemies without them being able to shoot us. And we're going to, since we have a whole bunch of Hyperium, we're going to maximize our usage of that, get an additional 10% ship evasion. Always really good. Unfortunately, that makes these guys really expensive on our limited titanium supplies, but we're just going to have to live with that. I'd rather have a couple good ships than a whole bunch of weak ships. So we're going to get a miners union here after all of this to try and maximize our titanium production. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Anything else I can do here? Let's bring this guy over here. I think that's going to be better for us. Yeah, unfortunately, all of our food producers are dying. So our starvation is snowballing, unfortunately. Okay, I think that's it for this turn. Again, we're hoping that we can appease the Cravers early game enough to not have to go to war with them immediately. We'll just keep these guys here, so we won't have to go to war with them immediately, and take out these Horatio first, and take these two really nice places as early as possible, and that should give us the strength that we need to contest them. Alright, we have a nice Boreal. Check for Signal and Runes. There's one right there. Great, 2 runes. These runes have the highest chance of giving loot, so those are the best ones you can find. You can see that, you know, you get this technology for this stuff. You know, not great, but it kind of demonstrates what I mean. Okay. Yep, so pretty simple turns. We'll have these guys run back over here. And since we're deploying most of our wasps in defense, we're going to have to build some more. So let's just queue those up now. Yes, we can really only do 2 at the moment, just because they're so expensive. The other thing I think I'm going to do is something that I haven't talked about that much, which is to make, so we have our wasps, which are really expensive in titanium, and we can make something I'll call hornets, the hornet class, and these are going to be kind of our lesser soldiers. So we're not going to use our big titanium guns, we'll just use our normal guns. Yeah, we'll just use our normal guns, same kind of setup, but significantly less draining on our titanium deposits. We're still going to do the Infinity Shield because it's not that expensive and it's just so good. Actually, let's not do that. Let's have these guys do double missiles, and we'll just have them sit at long range, and we'll just do a standard. Hopefully these guys will draw minimal fire, and they'll just be just have a standard shield instead of our big shield, and then we can mass produce these guys without worry, and then conserve our titanium for wasp class fighters. So then we'll have a little bit of a mix. We'll have to go into a little bit more detail about ship allocation and or flotilla allocation, and battle card usage will become a little bit more complex, but it will give us some interesting things to talk about. Okay, so now we can colonize those ice planets, which is going to be really nice for us. We are already up to 12 CP, so let's get our big ships in order to fill some of that. In addition to that, we're going to start wanting to get some happiness resources, and yeah, at least some happiness resources. It's only going to take 1 turn, so let's just do it. And in addition to that, let's see, so we already have our awesome shield, so we really don't need this that much. Let's see, so after we do those, we have an interesting choice. We can either build up our economy using commercial frameworks to get trade companies, but trade companies for Cravers are not that great because you can never make trade alliances with other civilizations, so you can only be trading with yourself. They're not wonderful. The other option is to continue getting some of these colonization things, which is what I think I'm going to do, and then rush towards the primary terraforming, which allows you to turn sterile planets like these ice planets that we have into kind of second-tier planets like arids and savannas and tundras and that type of thing. So I think that's what we're going to go for. It also is going to help us manage our unhappiness, which becomes a huge problem in the game. You know, the more planets you get, the less happy your people are, and yeah, it basically snowballs out of control. As I talked about in the first episode, once we get to the Supremacy Victory, it's going to cause, you know, each system to have over -300 happiness just from overcolonization. So the goal of this game, and I'm going to be learning right along with you guys, is figuring out how to maintain a happy and productive empire while having that massive overcolonization penalty. And if it's not possible on a huge galaxy, because the number of systems that you have to get scales with the size of the galaxy, Ooh, that's perfect timing. We're going to get double experience for our wonder that's being completed next turn. Anyway, so the Conquest Victory that we're going for scales with the size of the galaxy, but the techs that allow you to get more places do not. So if we were in a small galaxy where you might only need like 14 or 15 systems, this overpopulation limit, or the penalty from overpopulation, will only be minus 20 or 40 or something like that. But in a huge galaxy where you need 46, you still can only get a maximum limit of 14, and so you get minus 320 happiness by the time you're getting up there. So it's entirely possible that since those technologies don't scale, doing a Conquest Victory in a huge galaxy is just not really practical. And if that's the case, it'd be really unfortunate, because I like Conquest Victories. Having the largest number of victory conditions available to you makes the game more interesting, gives you more freedom of how you want to play. So hopefully that's not the case, and we can find a clever way to get around all of that unhappiness. One way that I found in my first attempt, so look at that, we got our basic pinch beam from this Technologies. Unfortunately, this is the worst one to find, but it might give us some opportunity to do something of interest, make some kind of suicide, close range guys that just do absolute crap tons of damage. Alright, got one turn on that. These guys need direction. So these guys need direction. What can I make that will be helpful? So first of all, they're mutinous, so let's get some happiness resources since we can't get away from doing slave drivers, since we can't colonize these planets. And they're producing a whole bunch of science. Let's grab an optics. I just don't have the industry to really do that very well. So I guess we can do an interplanetary transport, even though they don't have the strategic resource. It will still be +2 industry, about +2 industry per person until this becomes depleted. So, not great, but not bad. And then let's have them pump out some Hornets. Okay, you guys, are you still starving? You are, because you're so angry. Mostly just because of... Oh, they like that I own them now. That's weird. Mostly just because we have all of these planets, and they all are contributing to our unhappiness. Minus 25 here, minus 10 here, or plus 5 here, so that's not bad. But minus 30 there. Unfortunately, Riftborn get bonus happiness on sterols, so those would be mitigated a little bit, but I do not, and that's another reason why conquering Riftborn is so anticlimactic, I guess you could call it. They just really don't help you out that much, and that's really unfortunate because they were the only guys near us. Nothing much we could do about that. Alright, so we're finishing this next turn. Gonna crank out a couple wasps with the last couple turns of our depletion, and then colonize a new place and get Kraken. Deplete that. Really leverage our early game, or try to leverage our early game as much as possible in order to do that. Look at that. We are the first to raise our hero to level 9 because we got double experience on our wonder. Yep, so here we go. This is probably his main attack force that he wanted to invade into me. We can see that he's using those short-range lasers almost exclusively. So these guys are using standard projectiles, but these guys both use short-range lasers. So we're going to do power to the shield since our wasps actually do have shields. Stay as far back as possible, and hopefully do some damage to him, take him out before he actually gets to us. We got a minor victory. I lost a wasp, but we can look at this to kind of demonstrate my point. Alright, so you can see in Phase 1 and 2, I'm doing a majority of the damage to him because his 2 slicer 2s are not doing anything, but as soon as he closes to close range, he does significantly more damage to me. So since I wasn't able to kill the 2 slicers, since I can't actively target them, I couldn't kill them before they closed range. I actually ended up losing out on the damage in this 3rd phase. But I did more damage to him than he did to me. We killed the other 2 that weren't the slicers. So what I can do now is just initiate the attack myself, grab the same strategy, and now I'm going to be doing damage to him again in those first 2 phases without him being able to return damage. And I should be able to kill him without him doing damage to me. Yep, just like that. We can go to the advanced details, and that will show exactly that. So did damage to him phase 1, phase 2. He ended up doing 0 damage in the whole fight. So I basically got some free kills on him. I'm going to sneeze again, so I apologize. Excuse me. Alright, it was just one. Alright, just one. Okay, so we took out his little attack force that he was probably testing my defenses. If I didn't have a barricade or a blockade here, he probably would have declared war on me in order to try and get this place. We have a whole bunch of money, so we're going to accelerate that. I forgot to do that a long time ago. That's a pretty big mistake. Yeah, so this guy gained four levels from getting that double experience on the Wonder. Compare that to how long it would take to get 4 levels in a military career, and it's just stupid. It just makes me so mad that they're so uneven. Doing a military career is just strictly worse than a non-military career, and it kind of makes me mad. That imbalance. Okay. Yep. So this is going to be the best thing we can do. We have plus 40% health on my fleets, so that's going to synergize nicely with my Infinity Shield. Plus 4 probe stock on exploration ships. That's not bad. I think that's going to give all of my locusts tons and tons and tons of probes. That's cool. Alright. These guys are content. Nicely segregated population. But we can probably pull a couple of these guys. Maybe we can pull all 3 over? Nope. We'll pull 2 over, get some slave driving bonuses, get another intergalactic supermarket, get some research labs, probably want some more food first, because maintaining that growth is going to be pretty difficult. And we're building up our titanium stores nicely since we have several sources now. So let's build some more wasps. These guys aren't going to get there in time. Oops. Come on. These guys aren't going to get there in time. So let's build some more wasps here. Yeah, I think that's going to be the best choice. These are content. That's fine. So this guy's driving these slaves, which is fine. Even though he's on a depleted planet, just as long as we maintain our happiness. Okay, so these are both termites, so we have 4 termites. That will be able to chew through these defenses fairly quickly. We got this guy. We'll see. We'll see if I need to reinforce that blockade against the Cravers more. I mean, they sent a first attack at me, so I'm guessing they're going to send a second attack at me, and they're just, I kind of have them boxed in. You know, they have these 5 places and probably 1 more down here, and are growing really quickly, and I just don't have that good of a spot. I mean, my first place was pretty good. My second place was at least decent. This place is, decent, but these 3 places just kind of suck. and I'm really struggling to try and leverage my early game advantage in order to win, or at least try and win. Yeah, and yeah, so this place is just not great. So we're going to try and use some of these things to my advantage. Get that primary terraforming, so hopefully we can then fix some of these planets. Unfortunately, having to do so early makes the terraforming take absolutely forever. So we'll see what we can do. Alright, so now we are entrenched military, so we can grab some lower fleet costs. Oop, forgot to do that in my starting turn. Okay, so we got our thing. We need to increase our Craver population in Eta by 2. Let's get some lower fleet. Oh yeah, so there they go. They declared war on us. There's that big fleet that we were worried about. Shit. Yeah. Okay. Damn it. So I probably should have known that they were going to do that, just from the way that they were acting. We don't really have a chance, so we're just going to retreat, maybe preserve some of our health. Yeah, we probably should have been able to predict that's exactly what was going to happen, but I was hopeful that I was going to be able to buy enough time with my stall tactic, or any type of stall tactics that I could do, but it was not the case. It's really unfortunate. I'm going to spend a lot of my gold. Oops, damn it, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to spend my gold on a wasp, and apparently this colony. Not what I wanted to do, but we're going to need more wasps. So we're going to get our big 3 ships soon. Yeah, we're going to get our big 3 ships soon. So we're going to have all of these guys meet here. And then, or at least those guys are going to have meet there. And then going to pick up my general, which reminds me, I need to upgrade his ship, because he's kind of a mook right now. Alright, so let's get him some of these. Definitely want an infinity shield. Wants an infinity shield because he's super squishy. Some armor plating as well. Let's get him some of these torpedoes. And let's see. Oh, I don't even have enough titanium to do that. Alright, hold on. Yes, throw out those changes. So I queued a whole bunch of wasps, more than I needed to. So let's save that titanium to apply to our immediate need, which is our hero, who's, awesomely level 10. So he's actually going to be benefiting us quite significantly, thanks to that double bonus on our research, or our double bonus on our, what am I trying to say here? Double bonus on the Wonder XP, which ended up, really being huge. It gave us 4 levels. Really critical. Alright, and then we're going to give him one of these. Now, I've really been enjoying these, the probe stocks. It gives them the option of, no, I don't have enough money to do that. It gives them the option to get some experience while being on a military campaign, because the military campaigns provide actually fighting provides so little experience. Hopefully getting a couple curiosities now and then will actually be beneficial. Will actually be able to tilt us over that threshold. I'm going to grab the interplanetary transit because I'm pretty sure this is going to be a strategic resource there, and hopefully we'll be able to utilize that, and it will just give us some extra influence in the short, or some extra industry in the short term. Okay, the next thing we can do is start doing some of our system modernizations. Alright, so let's use our blue cat mold, because that's by far the best resource we have right now. And we definitely don't need over almost 400 Hyperium, so let's sell 250, grab us some extra money in the early game. Always sell all of your stupid dust, dark shitter. These I'm not using right now either, so we can sell them as well. So that's, you know, we just got 4,000 or 6,000 dust, 6,500 dust for pretty much free, just from our accumulated research, or our accumulated luxury resources. So we are going to rush a couple more wasps and then stick to hornets for a couple turns as our titanium stores replenish, and then we'll switch back to wasps. Alright, so these guys are all turning around. It looks like the fleet left Gaiazar and is probably heading this way. So I have a bunch of guys over here. Let's just, you know, pull them back so that they don't die needlessly. Especially those termites. I might lose a couple of those termites, which would be really sad. Okay, so no ruins here, so let's just grab this curiosity for the sake of exploring. And let's have this guy head over here. I don't want to be too annoying to these Sophons quite yet, because I am in the midst of a pretty complicated battle. Or war, more accurately. Okay, so we got these guys. It's kind of shit. Not super excited. That's right, we got our Butcher class, or Bishop class ships. I hate their names, so I'm going to change it to Mantis class. Bishop size. You want to use our Hyperium as much as possible. Going to do some big weapons, and at least 2 of these. Let's see. I think I'm just going to do 1. And then we're going to, since titanium is really going to be our bottleneck, and we're going to want, you know, we're going to want these pretty soon. Like, and by pretty soon I mean like we need them pretty soon. I might do a little bit of a mix. You know, 2 missiles, a projectile, pinch beam, these upgraded pinch beams that we got. You know, hopefully do some good mixed damage. Okay, oh wow, I went way over time on this video, so I apologize for all of you who get upset about such things. So I'm going to close this down now, after I finish building this ship. I'm going to close it down, and thank you for watching another episode of my Cravers full game commentary. We are the 4X Alchemist, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Take it easy.